Hey, what is up everyone? It's Adakai TCG here, and I'm coming at you with another deck profile video today. The deck that I'm going to be going over today is the red-purple Kid leader from Starter 10. And so if you guys are wondering where I got this card, this is actually a custom card that I made, and it's up on my website, www.adakai-tcg.com. You can pick this up as well as some other card designs that I did. If you guys want to see the rest of the set, I do have the Luffy and the Law as well. You can buy these either individually or as a bundle. And I have a lot of other cool stuff on the website, and so be sure to check that out. I am running a Memorial Day sale, so if you're watching this and it's still Memorial Day, you can get 15% off all orders. So yeah, let's talk about the Kid Killer deck, or Kid deck, sorry. Yeah, so what this leader does is he's a 5,000 power leader, and he is a red-purple dual color leader, but he does have 5 life, which is great. This is one of the things that I do enjoy about playing this leader. You have that extra life, even though you are running 2 colors. However, the, setback is that on your turn, if you have 4 or more life cards, you give this leader minus 1,000 power. So again, it's only your turn, so you will be back at 5,000 on your opponent's turn when he's swinging into you. But on your turn, at least when you have 4 or more life, you will have to either attach a Dawn or utilize a secondary ability, which is when attacking, you can Dawn -1, and then this leader gets 2,000 power for the turn. And so, I do really like this leader. I still think that there is some way to activate him, and so this is my EB01 updated version. It is a very aggressive deck. It rewards people who like to play fast, but also it can go both fast, wide, and high. And so there's a lot of angles in which you can play the aggression. And so there's a ton of ways to utilize either the kid's leader ability or the kid cards in this deck to really catch your opponent off guard. And yeah, we'll go over that. And so again, this is a very aggressive deck, and I'll explain the deck in kind of 2 engines. And so when I was theory crafting this deck, I decided to run the Kid engine and the Straw Hat engine. And so each kind of has some overlapping functions, but yeah, it'll make more sense as I explain it. But the first cards we're running are the 4 1-drop killers. This is just a 1-drop, 2,000 power. It does have 1,000 counter on it as well. And he's your Kid Pirate Searcher. And so on play, you can look at the top 5 cards of the deck and reveal and take one Kid Pirates type card and add it to your hand and place the rest in the bottom of the deck in any order. The cool thing is this searcher does search, and you're able to take the EB01 Kid and Killer card, which is one of the strongest new additions to this deck. And so really great that this guy can search it out. Killer will search out a lot of your key pieces that you will need. But in other matchups, like outside of Red Purple Law and maybe Sakazuki, who may end the bottom decking it, if your opponent chooses to leave him on the board, he does become a very viable threat at the end of the game too. And so we'll talk about those play lines in a little bit too. But yeah, really great. Him having the Kid Pirates tag makes him a threat in this deck as well. And so the next card we're going to have is the 4 copies of Kid and Killer. This is the new EB01 Rush card. For those, if you don't know, it's a 4-cost, 5k power Rush card. It has no counter, but when attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life, this character gains 2,000 power for the turn. So it's really good value. It can be searched by Killer. It's a 4-drop that can become a 7k on the drop. And again, this is a very aggressive deck, so then by the time you are dropping this Kid and Killer, your opponent may very well just be at 2 life, especially because we are seeing a lot of dual color leaders in this meta. yeah, it's just very possible. And so, yeah, very strong card, very good addition to the deck. We are running 4 copies of the Eustace Captain Kidd 5-drop blocker. He's a 5-drop 6k power, has 1000 counter, and he has the blocker attribute. And what he does is on your turn, when a Dawn is returned from the field to your deck, you can add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. And so right there's a ton of synergy. Once you get this kid on the board, now you're able to proc your leader's ability every single turn without it negging you your curve. And so really strong card. You want that on priority. Your killer will be searching this blocker kid in the beginning of the game, because you really need that on the board to really activate this deck. He can also search a 2K. So we are running the Hitokiri Kamazo, which is basically the Wano killer. But since he's not a killer in name, your killer searcher can search him, which is great. But this card is a 4-drop 5k body. It's a 2k counter, and on your turn, when a Dawn card is returned from your field to your Dawn deck, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. This effect is actually great. So, yeah, no, I've won games just by playing him out, activating my kid leader ability to KO a chump blocker, and then swing for game. So, yeah, it's it is a 2K, but it's also some utility that does come in handy, and so really great card. Now, my favorite kid card is the Punk Rotten. For those of you who don't know what this does, it's a 2-cost event card that can be activated on your main phase. You Dawn -1, but up to one of your Kid Pirates leader or character cards gains 5,000 power during this turn. It does also have a trigger that says add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So really good trigger because it ramps you, but the main effect is really great value. So it costs 2, and you're Dawn -1, but you are giving 5,000 power to a Kid Pirate. And so that's any of these cards, including your leader. And so towards the end of the game, even when you have just 2 Dawn left, this kid can swing for 12 just by playing Punk Rotten, which makes it a 10k. Then you activate leader ability, which gives you another 2k. So yeah, that can really catch your opponent off guard, because with 2 Dawn left, they're not thinking that you can go that high. And so yeah, this is the really, really great event, and it couples well with any of the cards here. And so that's the Kid Pirate engine. Next, we're going to go over the Straw Hat engine, which the searcher, of course, is your 4 copies of Nami. This is the OP01 Nami. The 1-drop 2k power, has a 1k counter, but on play, you get to basically look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Straw Hat crew type card other than Nami, and add it to your hand, then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And so this is your other searcher in the deck, which is going to be picking your aggression and defense. And so the Straw Hat engine is very much most of the rush cards and most of our defense cards. And so the first being 4 of the 3-drop Zoros. This is the 3-cost 5k Rush Zoro. Classic card, really good attacker, great both early and late game. I do think Kid really utilizes the Zoro well, because in this deck we are primarily going face. This deck really puts a lot of pressure onto your opponent early and does not relent. And so yeah, he's a really great card. Another late game card, which you can drop mid game as well, but it's the 5-drop 6k Russ Luffy, the one where you give him 2 Dawn, and then when attacking, your opponent cannot activate a blocker during this turn. Another really great card to get past any blockers in a very blocker heavy meta. And so this can often just win you the game after you're aggressively taking your opponent's life. They may sit behind a wall of blockers like a black yellow Luffy, but this Monkey D. Luffy will come in and just close out that game for you. We are running 2 copies of the 6-drop 6K Sanji. And what he does is he has 1K counter, and on play, if your opponent has a character with 5,000 power or more, this character gains rush during this turn. And so just another rush option with counter. We are running quite a few non-counter cards in this deck, and so I like to even it out by having a card that can still rush, but will have some semblance of counter on it. And so yeah, just to round out this deck. If you want to, you can make the argument to drop these 2 to play 2 more 5-drop Luffys. It's really up to you and up to preference. So we have the utility next. We have 2 copies of the 1-drop Robin. What she does is on play, you can KO one of your opponent's characters with the power of 1,000 or less. Really good to answer to things like Rebecca, for things like Bone Clay. Just able to knock out those pesky 1K bodies that are becoming more and more prevalent in the meta. And so I do like to run her as a 2 of, just in case I need to take care of something like that on the board. Next is the 2Ks. We have 4 copies of the 2-drop 3K Sanji. It is a 2K counter, but what he does is activate main. Once per turn, you may add 1 card from your life area to your hand. This card gains 2,000 power during this turn. Then give this character up to 2 Rested Dawn cards. And so I do like to play the Sanji out if I get it early on curve. And so if you're going second, on your first turn, you can drop this Sanji out. If they don't answer it by the next turn, you can do something like on your 4-Dawn turn, drop Zoro, swing with Zoro, activate Sanji, ability, swing 7, and then attach the last Dawn to Kid and swing 5. And so it's a really he helps you get Kid to the under 4 life threshold to make him a 5K leader on the attack again, and also puts early pressure on your opponent by just swinging 7 and gaining you a card from your life. And so it's a really good early turn play. Otherwise, you can just use them as a 2K counter. The last 2K in this deck, we are running a total of 10 2Ks with the 4 Hitokiri, the 4 Sanji, rounding it out with 2 copies of Furnosuke. It's a 5-cost 4K body with 2K counter, and what its effect is you can give it 1 Dawn, and if you have more than 8 Dawn cards in your field, this character gains rush. So it's a 2K, but if you really need it to be, it is another rush card in this deck. And so, yeah, if you guys can tell, the theme is very aggro. And so, Nami is primarily searching all of your rush cards, but she is also searching some defense tools. And so we're going to go over those events. We're doing 2 copies of the Gum Gum Jet Gatling. It's the zero cost event where you can trash a card from your hand and up to 1 of your leader character cards gains 3,000 power for the turn. It does have a trigger that says add up to 1 card from your Dawn deck and set it as active, which is great. We do want to ramp as quickly as possible in this deck. But yeah, this is just another great way to get rid of one of the bricks in our hands. We are running quite a few bricks with things like running events and Zoro, Luffy, Kid, Killer, and so it is good to have this just as a way to both be defensive and not get bricked up too much. Lastly, we are running the 2 copies of Radical Beam. Not much to say about this. One of the best defensive counters in the game still. For those of you who don't know, it's a 1-cost event. It's a counter that up to 1 of your leader character cards gains 2,000 power during this battle. Then if you have 2 or less life cards, that card gains an additional 2,000 power. So 1 Dawn for 4,000 power is amazing, and you don't get much better value than that. It does have a trigger that says up to 1 of your leader character cards gains 1,000 power during this turn. it is a good option if you don't have any Dawn up and you want to make it a little harder for your opponent to swing into you. You can turn your leader into a 6K leader then. And so, yeah, lastly, we're going to go over the non-Straw Hat, non-killer, Kid Killer Pirates, Kid Pirates cards. First with the 2 copies of Reiju. This is one of the best cards from OP06. It's a 4-cost 5K body with 1K counter. And on play, if the number of Dawn cards on your field is equal to or less than the number of on your opponent's field, and if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 2 cards. And so, in this deck, as we're playing out a lot of rush cards and turning our cards right, our hand size will eventually go down, and especially as we're using the Kid Leader ability as well, we can be at a lower Dawn value than our opponent as well. And so this is a really good way to replenish our hand and just stay relevant in the later games. So I found her very useful towards the mid to late game, just being able to play her out as another body, but also replenish my hands. Oftentimes gave me the 2Ks or the counters that I would, or the event counters that I would need to survive a turn and win on the crackback. We are running 2 copies of the Queen blocker. Just another great way to cycle the cards in your hands. You do get to net 1 positive from him. And so again, I'll go over his ability. He's a 5-cost 6K body with 1K counter. He does have the blocker attribute, so he's defensive as well. And on play, you can Dawn -1, draw 2 cards, and then trash 1 card from your hand. And so, really great card. I only have room for 2 right now. You could argue upping this card count to 3 or 4, but again, I'm okay leaving him at 2 because this card primarily wants to stay aggressive. And so, I do like the Queen stat line because it's a little harder to remove from a cost perspective, being at 5 cost, and he can become a great swinger with just adding 1 more Dawn to him to hit that 7K sweet spot. Lastly, the boss monster we're running is 3 copies of the 9-drop Kaido. Another really great card. Yeah, if you have Kid and Kaido, so actually before that, let's go over the card. So it's a 9-drop, 10K body. On play, you can Dawn -5, and then KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, and then this character gains rush during this turn. And so you're simultaneously removing an opponent's body, giving this card rush, and then you can swing 10 or 11K with it if you're at the 10 Dawn turn. One of the cool plays you can do is if you already establish your Kid blocker, you can play the Kaido. And so essentially you're Dawn -5, but then re-ramping the 1 from Kid, which gives you enough to activate a Punk Rotten. And so that turn you could swing a 6, a 10, and a 12, just with the 10 Dawn. And so it's really aggressive, really great boss monster. I've been playing around with both Kaido and Shanks, but honestly, I think I've been liking Kaido a little bit better in the current meta, and so it does suffer when Sabo is being played and in the black matchup, but again, I think regardless, I do enjoy having Kaido in the deck a little bit more than Shanks. But yeah, this is the deck, guys. Let me know what you think. Give it a test out on Sim or at your locals. I do think it may need a little bit of work before it can become any sort of bigger tournament ready, but it is not a deck that will give up wins easily. And so, yeah, your opponent will have to really work for their win, even if they're playing a meta deck. And so I think it does have some fight in it. And so, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm really interested if you guys have any other iterations or any suggestions as well. This is the package that I've really seemed to enjoy after some fine tuning. And so, yeah, that's all today, guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know below if you guys want to see any more of the deck profiles of EB01 that I've been cooking. Some of the more non-meta stuff that I think are pretty strong. And so, yeah, if you guys want to see more, comment on the leaders that you'd like to see that you don't see decks for. Yeah, and like the top deck size and stuff. And so, yeah, anyway, that's all I have for today, guys. Catch you later.